Chapter is called Good Guys with Guns. Many governors who have constant security protection find it stifling and intrusive. I made up my mind that I would avoid this frustration. I would do my job and they would do theirs. I would never think of them as in my way. For me, that turned out to be a wise decision. I was rewarded with mutual respect, friendship, enlightening war stories, and hundreds of hours of great conversations as we drove throughout the state. Very soon I felt privileged to have their protection plus their companionship. However, you cannot spend 4 years in close connection with any group without collecting some stories worth telling, and my dignitary protection guys were no exception to that rule. First of all, quite realistically, with only one woman in my protection unit, most of the time I was accompanied by only male officers. For years, I had been active in women's rights work, so my officers sat through events for the Oregon Women's Political Caucus, the League of Women Voters, and Planned Parenthood. Often, they were the only men in the room. It was a little difficult to blend in. I also had years of involvement in the disability community and would sometimes be recognized in public by someone from that community. The first few times an excited disabled citizen came running toward me, arms flailing, voice shrieking, their awkward gait making them appear out of control, my officers were immediately on guard. But as time passed, my security crew grew accustomed to my diverse assortment of fans. There is a number of stories in this chapter, but I wanted to tell you this one because this is the one they wished I didn't use their name. This unrecorded incident took place between my November 1990 election and my swearing in January of 1991. I was Christmas shopping with my mother at a mall in Portland and was looking for a gift that was on my daughter-in-law's Christmas list. Mother and I ended up at Victoria's Secret, accompanied by two of my security officers. The two male officers were trying to look invisible as they moved along the walls of the lingerie store. Focused on shopping, I walked behind a rack of bathrobes, and since I'm barely 5'2.5" tall, I was suddenly out of view of the officers. When the officers could not make a visual, they became concerned. They had lost the new governor. In the quiet but fast-paced confusion, Officer Greg Lockwood backed into a metal rack of bras, spilling them across the floor. Hearing the huge noise, I stepped out from the bathrobe rack to see what had happened. Spotting me and knowing I was safe, Officer Lockwood uprighted the rack and began retrieving a rainbow of bras off the floor, rehanging them on the rack. His bright red face fit in perfectly with the colorful bras. We never let Greg forget the day he lost the governor in Victoria's Secret. But for me, the state police chapter wouldn't be complete without sharing one special memory about my security team and my husband, Senator Frank Roberts. After Frank's death and his cremation in October of 1993, I decided not to inter his ashes until his birthday in December. Once that decision was made, I felt sad that Frank's beautiful urn and his ashes were stored in the dark mausoleum vault in Portland. I decided to bring Frank home for Thanksgiving and Christmas. My state police waited outside while I did business at the mausoleum. As I walked out of the door of the funeral home, I was carrying Frank's urn wrapped in a black velvet bag. The urn and the ashes were quite heavy, and Officer Darrell Burning jumped forward to help. He gently took the urn from me, set it carefully in the back seat, reached up and grabbed the seatbelt, locked it securely, and then sweetly patted the urn and said, "There, Senator, everything looks comfortable." So much for tough guys with guns. But this final story represents a special place these officers held in my life for 4 years. They made a tough job easier. They made me feel safe in some very threatening situations. They felt like family. They had my back. Now, one final chapter. This is